All right, well, it's good to have everybody with us tonight, and particularly warm welcome to those out in our live stream watching. Is it YouTube live stream? I'm assuming, like we've done in previous years. Great. Hello to everybody out there watching. We've had great attendance online for this event, and for those of you who are on campus, maybe in your residence hall watching, welcome to all of you as well. My name is Jim Troha. It's my honor and privilege to serve as Juniata's 12th president, and it is always awesome to be with all of you for this inspiring event. The Bailey, as you know, is Juniata's oldest academic tradition, named after a former president judge of Huntingdon County, John M. Bailey. This tradition celebrates and lifts up the importance of civil discourse, critical thinking, and committing to being a citizen of this world. Values have been a part of this institution since its founding back in 1876. This year marks 113 years of the Bailey. Part of this tradition is that cup over there called the Antique Loving Cup, which holds the names of our previous winners. In addition to their name being on that trophy, our winner tonight will take home a cool $1,000, second place $500, and third place $300. We have some unique traditions here at Juniata, for sure, and they're all great. And they all have a special place in my heart. But many of you know, who have been around maybe as long as I've been here, this is my 11th Bailey, that the Bailey just may be my favorite. I always leave here in awe of our students. I walk out of this space feeling encouraged, inspired, motivated to act, ready to be a better Juniatian, a better colleague, a better citizen, a better human being. And it emerges from all of you, our Bailey finalists. Thank you for your passion, your courage and conviction, your wisdom, your interest in sharing your story with all of us. Related to the Bailey, I was reading an article the other day I thought was so relevant to what we are about to experience. It was about technology and the emergence of artificial intelligence. Technology continues to challenge all of us in different and unique ways. It made me think not just about what we do here at Juniata, but how we do what we do. And I love this quote from Randy Bass. He's the Vice Provost for Education and Professor of English at Georgetown University. And he said this, and I quote, "As we look to the future, and as machines get better at being machines, the primary purpose of higher education must be helping humans get better at being human." Tonight is about being human. It's about hearing different perspectives. It's about being challenged to think differently. And the beauty of the Bailey, and why I love it so much, is that our students tonight are the teachers. And we all get to benefit from their wisdom and their life experiences. All this doesn't happen without the support, of course, of our faculty, particularly Dr. Lynn Cockett, Dr. Sarah Worley, Mr. Jared LeGroux, of course, and Dr. Grace Falla, welcome back. And for the final time, Dr. Donna Weimer. Please join me in thanking all of our faculty for their mentorship and support for tonight. Donna, while I have the floor, I just want to say thank you for all you have done, have given, and have sacrificed for this wonderful institution for the past 33 years. I think that's how long it has been. That deserves a round of applause. You and I have maybe not seen eye to eye on everything in my years here, right? One thing I do know about Donna is her dedication and her commitment to her students is unwavering. And I hear on the road, meeting with alums, in alumni groups, with board members about the impact of Donna Weimer. Let me take my president's cap off a second and put on my dad hat. because you know I had a daughter come through here just a few years ago, and you gave her, I think what I wrote here was authentic guidance and mentorship of my daughter, which means more than everything else I had said about being the president here, and that has a special place in my heart, Donna. Jennifer and I have a tremendous amount of gratitude to you for what you've done for her, so thank you very, very much. So audience, those of you live streaming, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Tonight, our contestants are addressing the question, who would you nominate for a profile and courage that inspires us as individuals and as a collective to do what is right for the public good? Once again, thank you, finalists, for what you bring to us tonight, and thank you for being here and making tonight extraordinary. It's my pleasure to bring up Dr. Donna Weimer, the Thornberry Professor of Communication and Chair of the Communication Theater Arts Department. Dr. Weimer, for the final time, will introduce our judges for this evening's contest. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. We're all going to behave tonight, right? No, we're not. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is an unusual and wonderful night. At first, our Bailey judges all sat where the finalists are sitting now more than once. It's an unusual group of judges. Another first. 7 women are arguing for 7 women of courage. That also has never happened before. We've always had a gender split in the 33 years I have been doing this. Serendipity, I have no idea. And most significantly for me, is a new era begins for the Bailey with my wonderful colleagues who will be continuing this tradition in the communication department. We'll ask new questions, focus on new possibilities, and come at it with fresh eyes. For 113 years, students at Juniata have stood before audiences to be counted through their thoughtful persuasion on diverse and difficult topics. We are traversing an atlas of suffering in our world, with the effects of the invasion of the Ukraine, climate change, the pandemic, violence against minorities and LGBTQ, and a surge of senseless shootings and hate. Yet tonight, we as a community will listen and become stronger through the fellowship of the speakers and what we must learn from them about what an array of courage looks like. Mary Oliver, sage and poet, says, "In this universe we are given 2 gifts, the ability to love and the ability to ask questions, which are at the same time the fire that warms us and the fire that scorches us. We have 7 Juniatians, fearless in both. So settle in as 7 Juniatians take on the world. Thanks for joining our community on and offline, hello out there, as we explore those valiant in sustaining the common good. The communication department of Professors Cockett, Fowler, Worley, LeGroux, and I are so pleased to have you share our passion and enjoyment in public speaking. A special welcome to all those families, alums, and friends who have joined us for this evening's Bailey. I would also like to salute the 33 students who participated in the preliminary round and nominated a profile in courage, famous or unfamous, a week ago. Many of them, I wish you could hear their speech. I wish you could hear all the speeches. There were profiles in courage about you, about us, about Roberto Clemente, Lady Gaga, teachers like Miss Kenny, scientists, famous photojournalists, Mother Teresa, Malala, artists. Blow your mind how extraordinary their ability to see such good in so many. I wish you could have heard them all. Each speech represents why Juniata College is vital to creating caring leaders and global citizens. The preliminary judges made the Saturday preliminary event an academic challenge. They were Janelle Smith-Cohn. I don't know if she's here. She said she was going to come. And Allie Golden's here, I know. I saw her give a wave. And Caleb Chu. Most impressed with the work, they labored long into the late afternoon assessing speeches. They listened to speeches for 7 hours and deliberated for another 2. They spent a precious Saturday to give back to Juniata, evaluate speeches, choose finalists, and write critiques. We simply have the best alums and friends. Please help me thank them for sharing their dedication to the art and craft. I apologize for the length of my thank yous, but this is my last shot. I can only say that our team of faculty, staff, and tech experts are outstanding and make it possible for our students to be the best they can be. Heather Bumbarger, and also Pat Musselman, who is here tonight, keeps all of our teams, locations, and detail after detail together across multiple areas, and arranged both Sill and Alumni Hall into agoras for eloquence. The digital media studio in the back, right? Particularly Cole Handahan, Zach Fultz, Joe Tyler, Tom McLean, Isaac Baker. Really, it's about all of Juniata coming together to make this work. Kellen Beidenman and her team, and many more technicians like Emily over there, and Nate over here, yet another alum, right? Thanks to everyone who helps make one of the oldest academic events at Juniata High Tech. To our generous alumni who are also here, Jane and Guy Croyle, and Jan Hartman, who make our gifts possible. Thank you again. It takes a village to run the Bailey, so thanks everyone for the coordination and effort over the last 33 years. Welcome to everyone tuning in out there in the ether. And it wouldn't hurt if you turned off your cell phones right now. Just saying. Tonight we have 3 distinguished judges faced with the difficult challenge of choosing 3 winners. In each of their professions, speaking effectively is crucial to success, and in their own communities, they strive to make them more just. The competition is rigorous, and the communication is so very grateful that we are not the judges. So very briefly, my speech got turned around. Susie Atkins, class of '93. You want to stand up, please? Yes, you must. Alum of Juniata College, graduated with a POE in Communication and Education, was what was then called a participating area resident student, studied in Cheltenham, won 2nd place in the Bailey twice, 91 and 93, has a master's in journalism and public relations from Temple, served on the Alumni Council. Currently, she works at PennDOT in the Executive Communications Bureau, and before that, she was a special advisor in Governor Tom Wolf's executive office. Jeffrey Beloma. Class of aught. What is that? What is that? Esquire, certified elder lawyer attorney, He received an LLM in taxation and estate planning, a BA degree with honors with an emphasis in political communication. We were just reliving his internship at the White House, where he got to meet Rosa Parks as a Juniata student. He received his Juris Doctor from Weimer. There's so much here. You know I'm skimming, right? Like crazy. He is the owner of Belomo and Associates, which opened in 2009 to focus on estate planning and elder law. Jeff won the Bailey in 2000. Parisha Shah. Class of '01. Senior research investigator and instructor in the Department of Medicine and Cell and Developmental Biology at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm not done, there's another whole sentence. Pennsylvania Perelman School of Medicine in Philadelphia, PA. Dr. Shaw focuses on understanding how DNA is organized in cells and how this organization impacts cellular memory. She's an advocate for public science literacy, improving science education, and creating more opportunities for young women in STEM. She is actively involved in public speaking and writing workshops. She's been on the Alumni Council and the Board of Trustees. She participated 3 years in the Bailey, taking second place in 1998. I must say, if you want to hear an extraordinary, eloquent speech, last year, Parisha gave the commencement address. It's well worth going back and listening to her eloquence. All of them have been extraordinary, eloquent in their lives. I have reason to know that. They have become my friends. And that is what Juniata does. Please, let's thank the judges one more time. Okay. And now, what you've been waiting for. Here is the list of our finalists. And if you have a pen or pencil, you can write down the order in which they're going to go. All right? Molly Sheets, class of '26 in journalism, will speak first. Nguyen, 23, accounting and financial management. Kiran Patil, 24, environmental geology. Lilian Case, class of '25, business analytics. Elizabeth Bailey, class of '23, wildlife conservation. Hannah Kempken, class of '23, strategic communication. Kayla Blackstock, class of '23, international politics. The wealth of knowledge, wisdom, and diversity of approaches, I think, will startle you tonight. Now, many ask what criteria the judges use. I must begin by saying that these are serious topics by serious college scholars. So some of you may find their topics challenging, and you may struggle with some of the things that you are hearing. I encourage you to go with your heart and follow along as best you can. The speeches are persuasive in intent. They are 6 to 8 minutes long. Each finalist will invite you, try to persuade you to their point of view. They must have an overall residual message. It must be clear. They must support it with organization, a clear line of reasoning, a variety of evidence, and of course, they must adapt to this audience. They must engage us emotionally and enhance their message with effective delivery. Yeah, it's like walking on water. Tacitus said that eloquence burns bright and we will be illuminated. There's a reason. Let's not wait a minute longer. May Hermes, the god and protector of ancient oratory, guide the finalist to eloquence.
Most people believe they know what it means, and many of us believe we have it, but courage is inherently subjective. I could and would do anything to protect my friends, but even if doing so required great personal sacrifice. To me, real courage is about placing others above ourselves. And I believe I could rise to such a challenge, but no one knows what we would do until we are in that moment. This is why I admire Yaneti Joanna Shaft, known in history as Hani Shaft. She deserves a profile in courage because of her courageous actions, her immense sacrifice, and how her example is still inspiring to us today. Courage for her was taking action to protect her friends, her peers, her people, even if doing so meant risking everything. Although known for her courageous actions, Hani Shaft was just a normal girl who rose to the occasion to protect others. Born on September 16th, 1920, in Haarlem, Netherlands, she was interested in social justice and politics. According to the Dutch Review, she wanted to work for the League of Nations from a young age, and she was studying to become a human rights lawyer when, in the early 1940s, Hitler invaded her home. Refusing to pledge loyalty to the Nazi Party to continue her studies, she left school and joined the Raad van Verzet, also known as the Council of Resistance. There she was given the code name Hani. Hani's courage was forsaking her future to protect the future of others. Soon after joining the Council of Resistance, Hani became an invaluable member. At first, she stole ID cards for Jewish citizens, including 2 of her closest university friends. She was my age, the age of many of us, and she dedicated her life to defending her country. Soon, she began to work with weapons. She and 2 other women resistance fighters, Truus and Freddie Overstegen, worked together to assassinate and sabotage Nazi soldiers, distribute anti-Nazi propaganda, and smuggle top-secret information. They quickly became some of the most valuable fighters in the resistance. Hani became so infamous, she was known as the girl with red hair to the Nazis, and Hitler himself demanded her capture. Her courageous actions were contributing to the downfall of the Nazi Party, and that frightened Hitler. Her courage, however, wasn't without sacrifice. During a mission with her fellow resistance member, Jean Boonkamp, he was shot, captured, and forced to give Hani's information and address to a Nazi posing as a resistance member. Terrified and distraught, she almost turned herself in. However, after regathering her courage, she dyed her signature red hair black and continued working more and more dangerous missions. It may be cliché, but the phrase, "courage is being scared and doing it anyway," comes to mind, and Hani, even in her capture and death, had courage. Eventually, Hani was captured at a checkpoint carrying a pistol and contraband newspapers. The Nazis discovered that she was carrying top-secret information, and Hani was captured, tortured, interrogated, and finally identified by the roots of her red hair. A mere 3 weeks before the liberation of the Netherlands, Hani was executed. When the executioner's first shot only grazed her, her last words were, "I shoot better." The next shot killed her. She was 24 years old. If not for her heroic response to Hitler's invasion, Yaneti Joanna Shaft might have gone on to become a lawyer like she was planning to be. She most likely would have never had to kill, and she may have lived a long and happy life. Instead, she sacrificed herself, both in her actual death and while she was alive, in order to protect others. Often, it seems that the world is so full of awful things that we are powerless to stop. This is why it is important to remember how Hani's story impacts us. According to an article from Psychology Today, Zoomers are reporting compulsive use of smartphones and social media. This overuse only contributes to an increased feeling of anxiety, depression, and a feeling of powerlessness. When we hear of cruelty, hatred, war, harmful politics, and violence every day, it is easy to lose hope. I want to help. I want to take a stand to make a change, but I am merely one person. What impact, if any, could I possibly make? As hopeless as it seems, we are not powerless. This is why Hani Shaft's story is important. It shows us that we as individuals can have an impact if we have the courage to act. Now, I'm not saying that in order for us to be brave, we all need to literally fight Nazis, but as Shaft's example shows us, there is always more we can do. Are you sick of bigotry? Call it out when you see it. Change the culture around bigoted speech so that it no longer has a place in our society. Are you concerned about harmful politics? Then make sure you're registered and voting. Are you tired of hearing hatred on Yik Yak and other social media? Then move the world towards peace with every conversation you have. Use your everyday actions, no matter how small they may seem, to positively influence what you see in the world. As Kaja Ollongren, the Dutch Minister of Defense, states, "My ideal is a society of people living in liberty, where people dare to be themselves and are willing to speak out against injustice. These are the principles for which Hani Shaft fought and died." While evil might not be a thing of the past, courage isn't either. As Hani Shaft has shown us, the most courageous thing we can do is to take action. Thank you.
May Nguyen. Do you see me as May, an accounting student? Or do you see me as Như, a Vietnamese girl? Do you think of Michelle Yeoh as a famous actress? Or do you think of her as Yeoh Chu Kien, a Malaysian-born actress? Both Michelle Yeoh and I were born in Southeast Asia, are career-oriented people who want career recognition in the land of the free. To get the green card, we don't want to be seen as a typical shy, submissive, cute Asian girl by any man. Stereotypes are everywhere that each of us experienced at least once. Standing here today, I take courage from Michelle Yeoh to argue it is courageous for all of us, women, to confront stereotypes and to do what we want. Yeoh is my profound courage because she created an authentic career by fighting against cultural disapproval, lack of representation, and gender inequality. Cultural disapproval caused by Asian traditions limits the number of women who pursue a career in martial arts. From the young age, Michelle Yeoh was set by her family to become a ballerina, to be Miss Malaysia. Now what? She is a successful kung fu actress in Hollywood. This only became possible when she won the Miss Malaysia title, so that she could have the voice in challenging her mom's expectation beyond female beauty and what women must do in her society to pursue her career in martial arts. Michelle Yeoh shows me how to express myself more than what the culture wants me to do. Not be limited. For example, of my extended family, I am the first generation to study abroad and with scholarship. Michelle Yeoh showed me, Michelle Yeoh was also challenged by a lack of Asian representation in Hollywood. According to the 2021 US Census, 6.1% of Americans are Asian ethnicity. However, USC Annable shows that less than 0.4% of 1,300 recent movies had an Asian lead or co-lead actress. Clearly, Asian women are underrepresented in American movies. The China Daily states that movies or media are a great tool to hedge political confrontation through cultural communication. Michelle Yeoh has all those components to do that job. She forces the Hollywood fan to look at Asians differently, refusing to represent Asian women negatively as a submissive or sexual object. In contrast, Lucy Liu in Charlie's Angel did lots of fighting scenes in impossible tight dress and high heels. In Everything Everywhere All at Once, Michelle Yeoh performed many visually stunning fights in a variety of realistic outfits. Michelle Yeoh had the courage to challenge and break the system which perpetuates harmful stereotypes of Asian women. In doing so, when I started meeting guys in college, I was worried by how they going to see me. A freaky short Asian girl? Meanwhile, I don't want to be seen like too nice, like the traditional Vietnamese girl. You know, I just want to be seen somewhere in between, like Rachel Deposit encouraged us 3 years ago in her Bailey speech. Michelle Yeoh shows me how to take action rather than being obedient, to be sexually expressive rather than being conservative in my love life. Gender inequalities is another problem that women often encounter. According to a report from the University of Wisconsin, actresses earn an average of $1 million per film, less than the male counterparts. In an interview with the CBS, Michelle Yeoh was courageous, pointing out that when she turned 60 years old, she was told to retire, and the males are allowed to continue. However, Michelle Yeoh still navigated through all the discrimination to thrive in the film industry. She became the UNDP Goodwill Ambassador to empower the vision of the future world without inequality. Michelle Yeoh's courage to fight against gender discrimination inspires us to be aware, not be scared. Most Asian women in the United States are either in the STEM or business fields. Otherwise, as Harvard Business School recognized, they work in the service industry based on their race. Typically, nail salons for Vietnamese, dry cleaners for Korean, nurses for Filipinos, convenience stores for Indians. With this pattern of stereotypes, could you imagine Michelle Yeoh as a famous, successful actress 40 years ago? How about me? Who do you see me now? An Asian girl or a Bailey finalist? My profile in college is Michelle Yeoh, who challenged us to see her more than a Malaysian-born actress who fought hard against cultural disapproval, lack of representation, gender inequality to create a more equitable world. I challenge you to take courage to continue Yeoh's legacy in creating a more positive representation of all identities. I challenge you to see me, to see you, to see the people around you beyond what we are expected to be. Kiran Patil. As strong as war, as soft as peace, the carefree children are full of joy despite all the hardships that they have suffered. The conflict had paused for the moment. There were no guns with bullets, no bloodshed or bodies wrapped in blue clothes. The place they lived in was finally peaceful. War is so strong that it can destroy everything, and life was still difficult because peace is fragile. These words of Nicole Tung describe a photograph of children playing in the rubble of what was once a stadium in Iraq. Tung, a 37-year-old war photojournalist from Hong Kong, uses her camera to document the atrocities committed on innocent civilians trapped in war. I felt a sense of grief as I witnessed these atrocities through Tung's photos in my photojournalism class. While I was disturbed at the sight of death and destruction, I was secretly happy to be alive. I also felt a sense of guilt at my lack of engagement, but Tung's photos changed my perspective on war and photojournalism. I was inspired by her selflessness to sacrifice her own safety to ensure that the sufferings of those living amidst conflict are recorded, recognized, and remain at the forefront of our minds. I nominate Nicole Tung for a profile in courage because in every photojournalistic moment, she endangers her well-being to bear witness to the sufferings of those living amidst conflict with responsibility, empathy, and sincerity. What will follow is an understanding of her responsibility to record the truth, the risk involved in archiving misery with empathy, and her sincere efforts to raise awareness about the horrors of war. Tung broke through barriers and overcame adversity to record the truth of what she calls the war on civilians. There is something fascinating about the way she understands war and conflict. Tung asserts that war and conflict photojournalism is not just about taking pictures of people firing bullets at each other. It is more about the lives of civilians devastated by those bullets. But why should we care about the problems of civilians in war? People a world away from us. Tung wants us to care so that the sufferings of such people do not fade away or are forgotten. These people don't have a voice or a choice because they are imprisoned in that war. Tung reminds us, just because we are living a peaceful life does not mean everyone lives that way, and it can change quickly. What is happening to them could also happen to us. Now, recall when you saw a photograph from a war zone. Recall your thoughts and emotions. Were you disturbed or disgusted at the sight of death and destruction, or were you moved by it? Did you feel empathy for the people in the frame? Did you feel empathy for the person standing behind the frame? Have you ever thought what is going on beyond the frame? Well, if you haven't, let me explain. While war photojournalists must live in conditions and circumstances that can be called nightmarish, there's always a high probability of them dying on the front line. Photojournalist Teru Kuwayama, in How to Shoot Without Getting Shot in a War Zone, writes, quote, "The daily mechanics of photographing in a war zone don't have much to do with photography. It's mostly about getting from point A to point B without getting your head cut off," unquote. According to Reporters Without Borders, of the 686 killings of photojournalists since 2014, 335 have been recorded in war zones. Even if photojournalists make it back safe, their experiences scar and burden them because, dear audience, the camera is not a shield. Thus, war photojournalists suffer from PTSD, stress, depression, and anxiety. Additionally, in war photojournalism, the loss of life, job, friends, and colleagues is fairly common. Thus, for Tung, being a war photojournalist equates to putting everything at stake, including her life and well-being. Despite this courage, resilience, and empathy, the world has accused Tung of exploiting human tragedy and being immoral. People argue filming or photographing individuals in times of vulnerability is highly unethical. War photojournalism does not equate to exploiting human tragedy, but the cost of bearing witness with sincerity. Tung has witnessed the sufferings of countless people. She has seen people dying, almost died herself, and lost close friends and colleagues. This has given her enough reasons to quit. She often asks herself if it is ever worth risking her own life for that one photo. To her, the answer is always yes. And dear audience, it should be the same for us. James Foley, another war photojournalist that Tung knew in Libya and Syria. Tung was devastated when he was kidnapped and brutally murdered by ISIS in 2012. She recalls, half of his head was gone, and at that moment I could not photograph anything because I was so stunned by what I had seen. Dear audience, it takes immense courage to witness people's sufferings, yet distancing thoughts of pain and pretending that you're all right to stand behind the camera and relive those moments of pain and suffering, all for the world's eye. As Susan Sontag says, what we as viewers fail to understand is how important it is to take such pictures because they bring to the world's attention the lethal effects of war and conflict, problems that would not have been recognized had it not been for those pictures. James Knockway, the most famous war photojournalist, argues, for me, the strength of photography lies in its ability to evoke humanity. If war is an attempt to negate humanity, then photojournalism can be considered as the opposite of war. Thus, let us all acknowledge that war photojournalists do not seek to exploit human tragedy. Instead, they hope to expose its horrors. For her mission, Tung has filmed the legacy of destruction in the aftermaths of war. Her pictures show a striking reality of what human greed for power can do. She conveys the human cost of violence without showing bloodshed, yet leaving a long-lasting bitterness even when you look away. Despite her challenges, what gives her the courage is witnessing people going through terrible conflicts, but maintaining their sense of pride and hope. These people in wars face unspeakable difficulties, yet they can smile, they can be hopeful. A lesson, a reminder for people like us who are blessed to live in peace. I nominate Nicole Tung for a profile in courage because in every photojournalistic moment, she endangers her well-being, to bear witness to the sufferings of those living amidst conflict and to raise our awareness. She strives to use this privilege, this power, with utmost responsibility, empathy, and sincerity. We need her as a part of the Fourth Estate to record and archive the reality of the war on civilians in our consciousness. Tung embodies Knockway's insight. Everyone cannot be there. That's why photographers go there, to create pictures powerful enough to overcome the diluting effects of mass media and to shake people out of their indifference, to protest, and by the strength of protest, to make others protest.
Lilian Case. Veritas liberat. The truth will set you free. Dr. Earl C. Carroller, Professor Emeritus at Juniata, states, Juniata's motto has come to symbolize a belief worth sacrificing. At Profile in Courage, Ida B. Wells stood for this ideal. A journalist who sacrificed everything to let the truth set people free, Ida B. Wells did what was right instead of what was easy. Since many of us here go to Juniata or support someone who does, we understand the value of education and the opportunities it provides. At the age of 16, Wells took a job as a school teacher and observed the education gap between the white and black communities, which led her to speak out. The classroom was the first place that inspired Wells to find her voice, and the first place I was inspired to find my own. In third grade, my class performed a wax museum filled with Walt Disney's, Helen Keller's, Abe Lincoln's, Amelia Earhart's, and one, Ida B. Wells. I bet you can guess who that was. As parents mingled through our classroom museum, pressing the start buttons, I began my speech again and again. Hello, my name is Ida B. Wells. I was born into slavery in Holly Springs, Mississippi on July 16, 1862, during the Civil War. The sash I wore read justice, and tonight I'm honoring Wells as I did 11 years ago, but this time my voice has been developed through my time here at Juniata. In third grade, I admired Wells's pursuit of the truth, but now I recognize just how courageous that pursuit was. I am defining courage as the ability to challenge what some believe is unalterable through persistent commitment to truth. It's allowing your heart and your head influence decisions to push past adversity. The courage of Ida B. Wells allowed her to share the truth, investigate the truth, and redefine the truth for the cause of justice. The courageous acts of Rosa Parks in 1955 are rightfully acknowledged today, but over 70 years before, Ida B. Wells faced a similar situation. She bought a first-class train ticket, but was ordered to move to the car reserved for African Americans. As they tried to manually move her, she bit the conductor's hand, got off the train, sued the railroad, and won. The Tennessee Supreme Court's later reversal of this decision fueled her fight for justice. The Evening Star, a Memphis newspaper, published her story about the injustice she and others faced due to the color of their skin. She was officially becoming a journalist. Despite death threats due to her articles, Wells continued to educate about politics, race, and inequality in the South. Her controversial viewpoints resulted in pressures to stop writing by whites who resented what she was saying, but also by black readers who feared backlash. She lost her job as a school teacher. Tireless in her writing, she became editor of the Memphis Free Speech newspaper, exposing racial disparities, especially in education, declaring, "The people must know before they can act, and there is no educator to compare with the press." Eventually, Ida B. Wells bought co-ownership of the newspaper. Acknowledging that her audience was less educated, Wells wrote one-syllable words as frequently as possible and began printing on pink paper so that even those who could not read were able to identify it. These decisions caused many to question her credibility, but Wells did not back down. Her articles were published by black newspapers around the country, and free speech circulation tripled. Writing for everyday audiences, Wells had the courage to speak the truth, no matter the negative consequences. We can all appreciate the struggle of truth over reputation. Despite all judgments and risks, Wells had the courage to investigate the truth. In the early 1890s, a person of color was lynched almost every other day in the American South. White newspapers crafted the narrative that lynching was a form of punishment for those who had committed heinous crimes. Thomas Moss, one of Ida B. Wells's closest friends, was an innocent victim of a lynching. Wells's focus shifted, becoming one of the first investigative journalists, stating, "The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them." Her courageous exposure of lynching as a tool of power to suppress the black community began to redefine how people viewed lynching. She published editorials in Free Speech, calling for boycotts of white businesses and influencing many blacks to leave Memphis. Death threats were strong and became real when white men burned her Free Speech building. She never returned to Memphis. Her words were sharp and hit the target, but at what cost? At a time when women had no public voice, she laid her life on the line, sacrificing her career, safety, and home. She persisted, paving the way to normalize the scrutiny of public officials. If you have ever tried to challenge or speak out against systemic injustice, you can thank Ida B. Wells. Her courage to expose, educate, and inspire those around the nation stemmed from her fierce passion for justice. Frederick Douglass called Ida B. Wells's lynching pamphlets a revelation, insisting there has been no word equal to it in convincing power. It is difficult to share a truth, but even more courageous to investigate the truth and redefine perceptions of what we believe to be fact. Ida B. Wells encouraged people to get angry, recognize the truth, and reject the stories that justify the actions of white men. As Jules Slater, Juniata alum, stated in their 2021 Bailey Oratorical winning speech, not only does anger motivate us individually and drive us to be better, it can also produce communal changes that strengthen our communities and bond us with others. Wells was angry at the injustice her community received and redefined lynching through her writing. In an effort to unite and bond those going through the same suppression, she emerged as a powerful leader in her unwavering quest for truth. She was secretary of the Colored Press Association, founding member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, founder of the National Association of the Colored Women's Club, and contributor to the fight for women's suffrage. It was impossible to stop her. In our own lives, we need to constantly strive to find and then challenge perceptions of the truth. The Black Lives Matter protests of 2020 are proof that the truth is still suppressed. Systemic racism still exists. Ida B. Wells's work is not done. We cannot be complacent. We cannot let someone else determine the truth for us. Take inspiration from Ida B. Wells and have courage. Have the courage to go against societal norms. Do not let what others say stop you from sharing, investigating, and changing perceptions of what is true. America recorded its first year without lynching in 1952, 21 years after Ida B. Wells's death, and within the lifetime of listeners in this room. Her courageous impact is statistically and historically proven. The rest of us still have work to do. In third grade, as Ida B. Wells, my sash read justice. If I asked you to wear a sash with one word that represented what you stood for, what would it say? Peace? Empowerment? Integrity? How about courage? As Ida B. Wells demonstrated, truth comes through courage and leads to justice. She reminds us all that veritas liberat, the truth will set you free, is worth the sacrifice.
Elizabeth Bailey. What does it mean to be gay? picture it. Go on, I promise this isn't a trap. Really picture it. You're probably envisioning rainbows, glitter, and glamour. If you're a Juniata student, you might be thinking about Prism's annual gay prom here on campus. And you aren't wrong. Those things are all wonderfully, remarkably gay. But unfortunately, that isn't all of it. Allow me to offer you a metaphor. To be gay, trans, or otherwise queer is to spool a long thread of hurt inside of you. It is created from whispers, judgmental looks, and hateful legislation. It strangles your heart, and it sews your mouth shut, preventing you from speaking freely about who you are. Or at least that's what I thought for the first 2/3 of my life, until a classmate of mine made the bravest decision I have ever seen anyone make, and became a true profile in courage, when she became the first person in my middle school to publicly come out as queer. In doing so, she exposed herself to harassment and danger, but she did it for the sake of authenticity, audacity, and solidarity. Let's call her Natalie, because while I did get her permission to tell this story, she would kill me if I used her real name. When I knew her, Natalie was 5'0" with an extra 3 inches in heels, and always had something to say about everything. She had many friends, and though I wasn't one of them, I, along with everyone else, noticed when she came into school one day wearing a pride pin and loudly proclaiming to anyone who asked that she had just started dating her girlfriend. I was deep in the closet and couldn't believe it. It was 2014. Same-sex marriage wouldn't be legalized in the US for another year. We were in the 8th grade, and as I'm sure you all can remember, middle school was vicious. If you had a thread, you were supposed to keep it tucked up under your sleeve, but Natalie didn't. Gay was a bad word, but she just endured everything. In one fell swoop, she went from popular girl to pariah, but she endured it all with a smile. Now, Merriam-Webster may define courage as strength in the face of pain or grief, but I guarantee you that neither of them ever had to scrub slurs off of their locker. So Natalie and I, and I'm sure some of you in the audience tonight, are adding an addendum to that definition. Courage is strength in the face of rejection. To be authentically herself in a school full of people that turned their backs on her because of who she loved, that is authenticity. That is courage. Stay with me here, because this next point gets a little dark. Natalie and I were never close, so I think it surprised her when I asked her why she did it. I was tired of not being me, she said, and I wondered if there was anyone else. That last part shows her true courage. She was the first. She had no idea if she would have any support, no idea if anyone needed her, and her coming out was not all sparkles and rainbows. It was dangerous. According to the CDC, queer youth are 5 times more likely to die from suicide. That means that by the time Natalie graduated high school, she had worked 5 times as hard to still be alive. That is 5 times as courageous as anyone else I know. And she did it just in case it might help someone. I didn't tell her at the time, but it did. It helped me. In case you can't tell by the everything, I am extremely gay. I carried a thread of hurt. Throughout middle school and the early days of high school, I was so anxious about my sexuality that I used to sit in geometry class trying to plot the angle of my death. I would wonder if a thread was enough material to hang myself with, because being dead was easier than being gay. I don't want to go into too much detail, though, because I don't want you to mistake this speech for an instruction manual. Queer or not, we all have something we've hidden away in fear of rejection. We all spool a thread inside of us. I don't want to be the person who teaches you how to knot yours into a noose. But what Natalie did was make a friendship bracelet with hers. She taught me and everyone else in our school that we could live in our bodies. To be queer is to spool a thread in isolation. Until one day, someone like Natalie shows you there is an entire aisle in the great craft store of life dedicated just to thread, that there are others like you who have them. An individual thread may be weak and hurtful, but with others, you can weave them together into something strong and beautiful. All it takes is one person to be the first to share theirs. Natalie's dedication to being there for others, even in the face of discrimination, that is audacity. That is courage. Can we be courageous, though, without solidarity? In 2014, we were only 2 generations away from the 1980s AIDS crisis, which, according to the World Health Organization, killed over 324,000 people in the US, a significant portion of whom were queer. Gay was synonymous with dead. That same year, when Natalie came out, I sat on the floor of a church while a kind-sounding older woman told me that every single one of those people was burning in hell. I felt my thread pulling me downward, and I remember thinking, an eternity in hell sounds a lot better than this conversation does right now. But then I remembered Natalie. She showed me and all of my closeted classmates, many of whom would come out years later, that it was possible to be both queer and alive. She used her experiences to create solidarity within our community. Later, her courage would fuel my own. After all, if she could walk through the hallways waving her thread in the air, maybe I could too. Maybe I could write a Bailey speech on what it means to be gay. High school ended eventually and we all moved on, but Natalie's courage still motivates me. In my junior year here at Juniata, I made the decision to cut off all of my hair and dress in a way that I would never be mistaken as straight. Juniata is a more accepting community than my hometown was, largely due to all of you, but that didn't completely alleviate my anxiety, and it didn't make my decision 100% safe. What pushed me forward, though, was the hope that I could be to someone else what Natalie had been to me. A study from UCLA shows that the mental health of queer youth improves when others in their community present as openly queer. If I could borrow some small part of Natalie's courage, I could make someone else feel safe. I believe that you all can too. Queer or not, we can all make the decision to be openly and proudly an ally, to wear our threads with pride, no matter what color they are, so that someone else knows they are safe to do so too. That is solidarity. That is courage. So let me ask you again, what does it mean to be gay? Well, it means a lot of things, but most of all, it means to be courageous. I don't talk to Natalie much anymore. We're Facebook friends, which to the modern college student means exactly nothing. But it's enough to know that she's doing okay. Despite the odds, she made it. And so did I. And so did all of you. Thanks to people like Natalie, the world is much safer for queer youth now than it was back then. The fight for acceptance may be far from over, but in this moment, if we all emulate just a little bit of Natalie's courage, if we make the brave decision to work together towards authenticity, audacity, and solidarity, we can teach future generations to weave their threads into something beautiful. To be different in any way is to spool a thread of hurt inside of you, but Natalie's courage reminded me that that thread can be woven into a safer, more accepting world. What will you weave with yours?
Hannah Kempken. Do you know those moments when you look at the time and think it takes forever because you're stuck in a boring lesson? When time feels like half an eternity, and you just try to look interested, and then you're thinking about how can I look interested again, and then you think, never mind, just nod, smile, and wait until the lesson is over. This moment of looking at the time never happened to me in my last 3 years of high school in my German class. And there was only one reason for that. My teacher, Mrs. Schubert. I am from Germany, and I wouldn't be here today without Mrs. Schubert. She was more than a teacher. We all have a Mrs. Schubert in our lives, a person who believed in us when we couldn't. I nominate the Mrs. Schuberts of the world for a profile in courage because with their selfless dedication, they inspire us to become the people we are today. I argue that Mrs. Schubert's courage is best described by Parker Palmer. Teaching and learning are critical to our individual and collective survival and to the quality of our lives. This is the hardest but most important job of all. And often this process happens in small classrooms, also called everyday situations that go unnoticed and taken for granted. I would like to take you on a little journey through time from 2018 to 2020, representing the 3 qualities of Mrs. Schubert that made me the person I am today. Let's start with 2018 and with trust. The school bells are ringing. Mrs. Schubert comes in and she introduces our next topic, Faust by Goethe, a classic German drama that we had to read in class. Eyes rolled here and there, and our motivation level dropped below 0. Even though German is my native language, it didn't feel that way when I was reading the drama. But Mrs. Schubert trusted in us, and we learned to trust her. She was patient, no matter how many questions we asked, and trust me, there were many. In The Courage to Teach, Parker Palmer talks about the risk every teacher has to take. He says, a good teacher must stand where personal and public meet, dealing with the thundering flow of traffic at an intersection where weaving a web of connectedness feels more like crossing a freeway on foot. He describes how teachers make themselves vulnerable to indifference, judgment, and ridicule. But Mrs. Schubert's trust in her students let her take that risk every day. Not everyone has the courage to trust so strongly in the abilities of their students, and they would think, why put an effort into trust when students don't seem to feel it? But Mrs. Schubert trusted that every student would and could become more. 2019 comes with passion. You could feel Mrs. Schubert's love for words, rhetoric, and drama in every lesson. A study by the Martin Luther University in Halle-Wittenberg says, how much students enjoy and succeed in learning depends largely on the attitude of the teacher. Poetry analysis, for some perhaps, is the most boring topic in the world. But with Mrs. Schubert's humor and creative approach to teaching, poems became somehow cooler from week to week. She, like Parker Palmer, believes it's about helping students learn how to weave a world for themselves. And I started to love words, poems, and rhetoric, which is what I study today in communication, because Mrs. Schubert made me realize it's all about creativity and passion. Not everyone has the courage to be so passionate about inspiring their students to think. Why put an effort into passion when it may not be appreciated? But Mrs. Schubert needed no recognition to do what she did. We reached 2020 and support. 2020 was the year that changed us a lot. Recognizable even in school. Maybe you remember what you felt. uncertainty, fear, panic. We felt it all. But Mrs. Schubert didn't let it show when she prepared us for our most important final exams. She built us up, even when we didn't believe in ourselves during that hard time. According to the World Health Organization, the COVID-19 pandemic triggers a 25% increase in anxiety and depression worldwide. My mental health was much challenged. I struggled with the pressure to perform and manage my social anxiety. In some lessons, I couldn't even say a word or present anything because of fear, and I felt sick just thinking about it. Since I had Mrs. Schubert in class, I changed. She encouraged me to speak in class and to stand up for my opinion. She saw her students beyond performance and grades. She was the support we needed to graduate. Not everyone has the courage to support their students in challenging times, and they would think, why put an effort into caring when I rather can care about myself? But Mrs. Schubert cared and turned her students' fears into confidence. In 2018, 2019, and 2020, I changed as a person thanks to Mrs. Schubert's trust, passion, and support. In these 3 years, she gave me more than just the craft for poetry and drama analysis. She made me the person I am today. She is an inspiration that many perceive as commonplace and taken for granted. As you think of your Mrs. Schubert in your life, who believes in you when you can't do it yourself, appreciate it. Your Mrs. Schubert could be in this room, even sitting next to you. Through them, we learn to believe in ourselves and to trust in our abilities. Through them, we discover which person we want to become. Through them, we can be confident and probably give a speech in front of 100 people. Mrs. Schubert may not have been honored for her courage in the news, but when we look back, it's often the closest people that have the biggest impact on us. For me, she's more than a teacher. She's my profile in courage. And if I looked at the time in her class, it was only to wish for more time. And yet, the impact of her lessons on my life will never end.
Kayla Blackstock. Woman, life, freedom. Mahsa Amini is dead now at 22. In September of 2022, Amini was arrested by Iran's guidance patrol for wearing her hijab incorrectly and died in custody 3 days later. Law enforcement stated that she had a heart attack and fell into a coma before being transferred to the hospital, but forensic reports and eyewitnesses of her arrest tell a different story about her broken skull. According to a former member of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, she was severely beaten and died as a result of police brutality, that she died as a result of showing her hair. Since her untimely death, a series of protests and civil unrest against the Iranian government began, setting off the most sustained uprising in the history of the Iranian Republic. Though Mahsa Amini was the woman who catalyzed the movement, the one who inspired the protest slogan, "Woman, Life, Freedom," it would be unfair of me to base the entire revolution on her. That is why I, as a woman and a student of politics, nominate all of the women in Iran for their profile and courage, for their revolt in the streets, in their schools, on social media, in the face of a dictator and his death squads. Each of these women deserve to be recognized for their moral strength in the face of danger. In order to properly recognize these women, we must answer these 3 questions. 1, what are the mandates in Iran? 2, why are women dying over them? And 3, why don't we know more about it? So what are the mandates of Iran? According to Amnesty International, Iranian law states that anyone who explicitly violates any religious taboo in public will be imprisoned. In practice, this has meant a compulsory hijab mandate for the women of Iran since the Islamic Revolution of 1979. In some cases, women like Mahsa Amini are sent to a guidance center to be taught how to dress appropriately. This law prompts the Guidance Patrol, Iran's so-called religious morality police, to verbally abuse, violently arrest, and re-educate the women they consider to be wearing the hijab incorrectly. The Iranian government has been using the Muslim religion as a tool to oppress young girls' minds and sexualize young girls' bodies for decades. Former Iranian leader Ayatollah Khomeini defended the mandate, saying that, quote, "These coquettish women who wear makeup and put their necks, hair, and bodies on display in the streets do not know how to be useful, neither to society, nor politically or vocationally. And the reason is because they distract and anger people by exposing themselves." This compulsory dress code has never been about religion, but about the limit of expression and choice. And this limit imposed upon Iranian women is killing them. But why? Nika Shakarimi is dead now at 16. She disappeared during a Mahsa Amini protest after telling her friend she was being chased by police. Videos show her burning her hijab only hours before her disappearance, and her family was not notified of her death until 10 days later. But through the rise of social media, young women have seen what life can be like outside of Iran, and they have refused to accept the circumstances that they were born into. Nika Shakarimi was known for her eccentricness and love of singing, but in Iran, it is illegal for a woman to sing in front of others. According to Iranian officials, the average age of arrested protesters is estimated to be 15 years old. These girls, these kids, are risking their lives for a regime and raising awareness about it, even though the regime does everything in their power to try to silence them. Their defiance is admirable and insurmountable, and the establishment that should be protecting them will not leave them alone. Serena Ismailzadeh is dead now at 16, and the local Justice Department has denied any responsibility for her death, claiming that she died by suicide after jumping from the rooftop of a building. But according to Ismailzadeh's friends who were with her at the Mahsa Amini protests, she was struck on the head repeatedly with a baton and bled to death near her school. In a video on Ismailzadeh's YouTube channel, she asks, "Why aren't we having fun like the young people in New York and Los Angeles?" So why do we not know more about this crisis? Part of the reason that these women are not recognized comes from the Iranian government's method of containment. Internet blackouts, which makes human rights violations difficult to document and record. But somehow these women and girls continue to trend hashtags and shave their heads and chant death to dictator. Despite all of these murders of girls just like them, they have continued to persist until their struggles reached international acclaim. Alerts of the crisis managed to reach the United States government in late October of 2022. And the United States released a statement condemning the blackouts and putting sanctions on Iran's morality police. But the Iranian women will continue to show their moral strength in the face of danger, and they will continue to fight until these statements and sanctions and thoughts and prayers against the Iranian government become legitimate action. In the 2022 Time magazine about the Iranian protests, many of the women interviewed had their picture taken without showing their face. And I understand why. The Iranian police would see them and kill them. But I see them too. And the Juniata community, now we see them. We see their beauty in their free-flowing ebony hair. We see their veracity when they chant and dance in the street. We see their intellect, we see their hope, and we see their courage. To the women of Iran, we see you. Women, life, freedom.
May I please have another round of applause for an extraordinary Bailey. Well done, my friends, well done. And now the judges are going to deliberate for about 20 minutes. If you could just stay in your seats. Two members of the Lambda Pi Eta Honor Society, which is our Communication Honor Society, will take over, and they're going to help you understand how to do the People's Choice. You get to vote for that, so now you can get your phones back out. And there is food out in the lobby. Please be patient. We will be as fast as we can, but they've got a hard job ahead of them. See you real soon.
Okay. My name is Sarah Worley. I'm a member of the Communication Department. I want to say thank you. I want to say good evening to you all and to thank you for joining us tonight on this occasion. While I know we are all very anxious to hear the winner of tonight's contest be announced, we would like to ask that you indulge us with your patience for just a few extra minutes tonight as we take a moment to honor the dedication and contributions of a person who has had so much influence. We call this a mic takeover, Donna. Yeah, I'm taking over the mic. We want to honor the dedication and contributions of a person who has had so much influence on the life of this event. Dr. Weimer has left an indelible mark on Juniata, not only on the Bailey, but also on many of us here in this room and around the world who have been lucky enough to be her students and her colleague. We thought there would be no better way to celebrate and honor her than to hear straight from the mouths of her current and former students. Let me invite Caitlin Nowak, class of 2024, to the podium to share her tribute with all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Worley. In 1990, one courageous woman came to Juniata College, and she has since been spending her time here, making it a better place. Her courage continues to encourage members of the Juniata community, past, present, and future. Here at Juniata, she has taught thousands of students, had nearly thousands of advisees, and made countless friends. She founded the communication department, revived old traditions, like the Bailey Tonight, and served on numerous committees. Now, in 2023, this courageous woman, Dr. Donna Weimer, is getting ready to retire. But because of her hard work and dedication to our community, Dr. Weimer's impact will last long after her retirement. Dr. Weimer is a profile in courage that inspires us as individuals and as a collective to do what is right for the public good. In being proactive, passionate, and personal, Dr. Weimer is leaving this place better than she found it. With a BA, MA, and PhD from the Pennsylvania State University, alongside several years of experience as a communication instructor and consultant, Dr. Weimer was a huge asset to this college when she joined the faculty in 1990. Now, 33 years later, her hard work and dedication to this campus has had a positive, lasting impact on us all. According to a biography about Dr. Weimer published by Juniata College, her specific areas of expertise include rhetorical theory and criticism, film, media violence, cultural studies and mass media, communication and business, and information technology. In these specific areas, she has taught hundreds of courses at Juniata, reaching thousands of students. This variety of educational choices and student outreach would not be possible if Dr. Weimer wasn't so proactive. As a proactive member of the Juniata community, she founded the communication department, which not only opened many doors for us as students, but also brought many prestigious faculty to our campus, including Professors Cockett, Falla, Worley, and LeGroux. In Dr. Weimer's care, the communication department has flourished. According to data from Juniata College, since the communication department was founded, Juniata has had over 600 communication grads, some who are here with us tonight and some who are streaming online, and almost half of them were advised by Dr. Weimer. Dr. Weimer has not only been proactive and bettered Juniata as a professor and administrator, but also as the member of our Juniata community. Due to her love and appreciation for rhetoric and public speaking, she revived the very event we are here celebrating tonight, the Bailey Oratorical. The Bailey is a timeless tradition that allows us as students to come and practice and improve our public speaking skills each year. It is a chance for us to come together as a community to learn and grow more confident together. I remember being introduced to the Bailey for the very first time and being encouraged to sign up by Dr. Weimer. At the time, I thought maybe she just wanted me to sign up because, after all, it was her event. But now, having the experience myself, I now understand the light in her eyes as the spring semester rolls around, and it's time for us to come together as we challenge and learn together again. Along with being proactive, she does everything in passion. The first time I sat in a class taught by Dr. Weimer, I was just a freshman marketing student looking to learn a little bit more about communication. Right away, her passion and knowledge on the subject amazed me. You could really tell that she cared if we were learning and understanding, and she made that known with the occasional use of her catchphrase, "Nod if you're alive." Or questions, comments, concerns, nasty remarks, astute observations. I remember sitting in that class thinking, well, this is going to be different than anything that I have ever had before. She was going to challenge me, and I couldn't wait. By the end of the semester, I had known that I discovered an unknown passion for communication and would soon after join the comm department. Today, I'm a strategic communication and marketing POE, as well as president of our chapter's Communication Honor Society in Lambda Pi Eta. Yes, this is another great opportunity I had thanks to Dr. Weimer. From observing her relationships with her students, I know I'm not alone when I say that Dr. Weimer has changed my life for the better. proactive in her commitment, impassioned in the classroom, and personal with her connections. Dr. Weimer is personal with her students and faculty, creating an open and welcoming relationship with all of those who cross her path. I personally spent many hours sitting across from her and her wall of books in her office, picking her brain, asking for advice, complaining, and sometimes, every once in a while, I was even there for something related to class. But those aren't the conversations I will remember forever. I'll remember the time she told me, "You can do this, I believe in you," and that it's never okay to sacrifice your sleep. I remember how she begins every class by taking the time to ask, "How are you doing?" and ending it with, "Take care, my friends." Dr. Weimer has been, for me and many other students, someone we can always rely on to ensure that our lives are better in and out of the classroom. While Dr. Weimer prepares to retire, we should not have heavy hearts, but instead feel so lucky to be influenced by someone so proactive, passionate, and personal. Dr. Weimer's positive impact does not stop at the end of the semester. As a profile in courage who inspires us as individuals and as a collective to do what is right for the public good, what she has done and what we have learned from her will stay with us forever. We must take a page out of her book. Remember to be proactive. Remember that we can all do great things, even if we are building them from the ground up. We must be personable. Remember to check in on each other and remind each other that it's okay to slow down sometimes, because we have to take care of ourselves first. And finally, we must be passionate. We must find the little things in each day that bring us joy and always remember to appreciate them. We must think of Dr. Weimer and her legacy and remind ourselves that in everything we do, we have the power to leave things better than we found them. Thank you.
Donna, as the steps get more challenging, we want you to remember that you have given us a stride. You have helped us to glide. My first introduction to Juniata College was as a Bailey judge back in 1991. It was small, it was rustic, but the students were impressive. A few years later, I'd be interviewed by Dr. Donna Weimer, and my life would change. This event has changed. It has gone from being small and rustic to being significant, prominent, and prestigious. That's because of you. Dr. Weimer, your colleagues, your friends, professors emeriti, random members of the Juniata community, your students, and your beloved alumni are honoring you tonight because you have given them and us a journey of a lifetime, the kind of journey that changes us so much so that our grandchildren will be changed. So tonight, Donna, Juniata College honors you with an Endowed Student Award to be issued each year in perpetuity because of the generous contributions from all the people who love you and all the people whose lives you have touched. The Professor Donna S. Weimer Award in Communication will begin this year. It will be given to an outstanding junior or senior in the field of communication for their creative and positive contributions to the field. Why? Because Dr. Donna Weimer pioneered the foundations for any and all programs affiliated with communication at Juniata. As professor and administrator, you played a leading role in the groundbreaking development of communication courses and programs, the cultivation of scholarly excellence in the humanities, numerous award-winning research collaborations with students, probably more than anybody on this campus, and possibly more than all of us put together. Teaching with love and conviction of knowledge while spawning curiosity among your students, and by providing inexhaustible mentorship to countless advisees and colleagues and friends. Professor Weimer's influence has been far-reaching and immeasurable. Through the art of rhetoric and with eloquence, you, values authentic, impassioned, revelatory dialogue that transcends the ordinary as an expression of and extension of our shared humanity. We honor you with the Professor Donna S. Weimer Award in Communication to live in perpetuity. Please.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and just say, Donna, I think these folks want to hear from you for just 1 minute. Just come on. Yes. Exactly. Susie said, you can't be speeches. Donna Weimer.
No, I don't have an elevator speech ready. It was, well, yeah, but you didn't get all that. Okay, can somebody stop the judges, please? Yeah, help me out here. I live in gratitude for a lot of reasons. For the love and affection I have felt at Juniata, for the extraordinary people that have touched my life, from our custodians to office assistants who changed my life. You find what you seek, and if you seek the good and you approach it with love, the world will embrace you, and you will have the most extraordinary people in your lives. And I wish that for all of you, for always. I love you all.
I'm so glad I did that. I actually compelled Donna Weimer to do something I asked. That's, I know. It just, might as well finish it out on a good note. Are we doing People's Choice? How are we doing this? We're doing People's Choice first. Are you coming up? I think so. Okay, come on up. I'll cede the mic again.
And I'm going to help her.
All righty.
Yes, I did say this was unusual and wonderful, and I'm not disappointed. Please announce the People's Choice.
So this year we have a tie.
First time.
Congratulations to Lilian Case and Elizabeth Bailey.
We weren't prepared for that tie with our gifts, so they're going to share that tonight, and we'll have to. Congratulations, both of you. Congratulations. Okay. Are we ready for the final part of the evening? Thank you, judges, for your work. And one more round of applause for our judges down here. Thank you so much. And Donna, congratulations again. What an unbelievable career. I know you won't be a stranger. Okay, here we go. In third place, I think $300 to one Kayla Blackstock. Just stay up here. In second place, we have Lilian Case. Wow, love the enthusiasm. Okay. Here we go. The 2023 Bailey winner, and what a year to win. Elizabeth Bailey. Come on, let's hear it for our Bailey finalists and all of our Bailey participants. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Appreciate your support of the Bailey. We'll see you here next year.